Carol is diligent at enhancing her speech, stuck, and is getting better and better each time. Carol values family relationships and takes good care of her mom. Help me welcome Carol Martin.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guest. I felt like I was walking through mud up to my knees. I could barely move one foot in front of the other as I climbed that hill. I was stuck in this mire trying to walk that day when I was going to zip line. You see, I didn't want to zip line. Fear was taking over me. It was my sister's bucket list that she wanted to zip line, not mine. I didn't want to fly through the trees at 60 miles an hour. And as I stood on that podium that day, and this kid keeps telling me, just step off, ma'am, it'll be okay. Just step off, ma'am, it'll be okay. And I was telling him, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And he said, just step off about 30 times to me. And when I finally took that deep breath, and I stepped off, I'm sure you could have heard that little girl squeal from Rome to Marietta, Georgia. Did I zip line that day? Yes. Did I do it courageously? No. Fear was trying to stop me from ziplining that day. I noticed fear trying to take over other times in my life also. In times that I never even thought about it taking over. I mean, I was sitting on my porch, just kicked back, relaxing. And I look up to my flycatcher, and my flycatcher has caught something other than flies. Now I have to explain to you what my flycatcher looks like. It's just a tube with a lot of sticky stuff on it, with a cone at the top and a cone at the bottom. And its objective, only objective, is to catch flies and mosquitoes and bugs. You see, it attracts them, they get stuck, and then they die. But my flycatcher caught something other than flies. It caught a lizard. Ugh, I can't stand these little monsters. They drive me crazy. And I try to run them off my porch all the time, but now I have one stuck in my flycatcher. Fear is starting to take over once again. And I take a picture of it and I send it to my daughter and she says, oh, Mom, that's a big one. You better get the Gator Boys out here to help you with that one. So she has a few laughs on her mom and I'll deal with you another time because fear is taking over. I'm afraid of these little monsters. I don't want to deal with it. So a few days go by and I decide I have to clean my gutters and I head out with my ladder in my arm and open the door and there is that lizard stuck to that flycatcher still. But now the lizard has actually moved. Because when I first saw that the lizard was there, its tail was stuck at the very top of the flycatcher and its body was running down the tube. Now, the lizard has kind of dropped down into the cone, the body of it. Now its tail's still stuck. It can't be alive. It's been there too many days now. I know it cannot be alive. And I go on about my chores. But once in a while, I look down into my porch at the lizard, thinking, what am I going to do with this monster on my porch? How am I going to deal with it? And fear is taking over once again. Fear is trying to get me from the bottom of my feet all the way to my head. I finally decide, okay, I've got to deal with this lizard somehow. So I go in the house, I get the jacket that zips all the way up to my neck. I put on it. It has tied around my wrist so that, it might run up the sleeve. I put on these big, heavy gloves. If I had a mask, I'd put a mask on. That's how scared I am of these little monsters. I get a clothes hanger because I think I'm going to hook this flycatcher and put it in this bag. Get up on my step ladder and I start to go for it and I kind of nudge it a little bit and it turns its head and looks at me. It's alive! It's alive! The thing is alive! Now what am I going to do? I know my neighbors thought I was crazy that day because of all the squealing that was going on, besides me talking to myself or the lizard, I'm not sure which. And again, he's stuck, and I'm stuck. I'm stuck in my fear. I finally get enough bravery in me. I go back with the hook, and it drops to the floor, and I think, oh no, now I know it's loose on my porch somewhere. But I look down, and the little guy's just looking up at me like, really? I finally pick the flycatcher up and take it out. And at this point, I think, okay, I've got a little compassion for this guy, so I can't leave him stuck. I start peeling him away from the flycatcher. And I actually drop him into the grass, and I pick up all my stuff and go to the trash. On my way back, I think I've got to... The poor little guy, I can't let him suffer any longer. I know that he's going to die. I walk back and he's gone. He's actually crawled away. And I see him up just a little further than where I had dropped him, and he's like, thanks. Fear that day. Fear takes over us sometimes, doesn't it? I mean, fear, we let it take over us. It drives us sometimes. It keeps us from doing the things that we should do. As Toastmasters, we know all about fear. We know because we're here working on that fear, aren't we? We're here to make that fear work in the direction that we need it to work. We're here to help us speak in front of people, to help us lead better. Fear sometimes will keep us from doing the things that we need to do the most. Maybe it's that job that you should be taking, but you're afraid. You know it's a better paying job. You know you can do it, but you're afraid to even try for that job. Maybe it's that person you should be reaching out to, but you're afraid of rejection. Maybe it's something that the good Lord has said, you need to be doing that, and you won't take that step of faith because you're afraid. Fear, we let it take over sometimes. Sometimes I let it take over, and I can't sing, and I love to sing. Let them see you in me, let them hear you when I speak, let them feel you when I sing, let them see you in me. Lean into that fear, press on, don't let it stop you from doing what you know you should be doing. I'm Toastmaster.